What if gravity just stopped working one day? Would we all float away into outer space? What about our planet? Would it just disintegrate without gravity? These are some of the questions that have kept many scientists awake at night. Honestly, the answers are terrifying. In today's video, we are going to explore what would happen if gravity suddenly vanished. How would our planet and its inhabitants fare without this fundamental force? Let's find out. The Earth's gravitational pull keeps us grounded, quite literally. Without gravity, we would no longer be bound to the planet's surface. Oceans, lakes, and rivers would no longer have bottoms. They would simply float away into space. In fact, anything that isn't attached to the Earth's crust would start floating away. People, animals, trees, buildings, cars, planes, even clouds would all begin drifting upwards. This sudden weightlessness would cause chaos on a global scale. Planes would no longer need to fly. They could just float in the sky like balloons. Cars would roll up into the air, and buildings would crumble as their foundations were no longer anchored to the ground. Global telecommunications would likely be disrupted as satellites, no longer held by Earth's gravity, would drift away into space. This would cut off internet and phone services, plunging the world into an unprecedented state of chaos. In the midst of this upheaval, a new danger would emerge. Everything not tied to the Earth's surface is pulled upwards, including people. Imagine being outside during this shift. You'd feel like you were in a giant wind tunnel, except there's no wind. You're literally experiencing the upward pull of Earth's gravity. As everything floats away, you'd feel heavier and heavier until you were firmly planted back on the ground. But this relief would be short-lived. For those unfortunate enough to be at sea, life would become a nightmare. Oceans, no longer held by gravity, would quite literally vanish. Boats and ships would be left stranded as they had nothing to float on. Life rafts and buoys would also be affected, leaving those at sea with no way to signal for help. Some of the larger ships might actually be able to navigate these strange waters, but they wouldn't go far. Eventually, they'd bump into something solid, probably each other. As oceans receded, coastal communities would face devastating floods. Cities like New York, London, Miami, and Sydney, which are home to millions of people, would be inundated. Entire ecosystems would be wiped out as marine species lost their breeding grounds. Shorelines would be dramatically altered as the weight of water was no longer pushing sand and soil upwards. Beaches would vanish, and cliffs might collapse. Coastal erosion would accelerate dramatically in some areas, reshaping coastlines and causing massive property damage. Without gravity, rain would not fall. It would hover around the Earth's surface, forming a thick cloud layer. Water vapor would rise into the atmosphere, forming massive floating clouds. Over time, these clouds would reach such heights that they would start to freeze, creating giant floating icebergs in the sky. Eventually, these icebergs would get so big that they would begin to trap heat from the sun. The Earth's surface would become colder than normal, leading to a potential ice age. But perhaps even more catastrophic would be the effect on plant life. Plants rely on gravity to help them grow. Without gravity, plants would begin to float away. Imagine a gentle breeze carrying seeds and plants aloft, floating away from their roots and from Earth. Forests would thin as the lightest plants are carried away. Farmers would watch in horror as their crops take to the skies. Gardens would shrink as tomatoes, pumpkins, and watermelons floated away. Parks would become eerie as playground equipment slowly drifted upwards. On a larger scale, Earth itself would start to look very different. Without gravity, the planet would expand. This is because gravity is responsible for keeping Earth as a sphere. It pulls matter towards the center of the planet, giving it its shape. Without gravity, Earth would become a bit wider at the equator. This change might not seem significant at first, but over time it would cause major shifts in climate patterns. Earth's rotation causes winds to blow from east to west at the equator. These winds play a vital role in distributing heat around the planet. Without gravity, the Earth's bulge at the equator would disrupt these wind patterns, potentially altering weather systems and climate zones. Areas that were once warm might become frigid, while regions that were once cold could experience unseasonable heat. This shift could have devastating consequences for plant and animal life, leading to extinctions and disruptions in food chains. Not only that, but Earth's gravity also helps maintain its atmosphere. Gravity keeps the gases in our atmosphere from floating away into space. Without gravity, our atmosphere would gradually dissipate, exposing the Earth's surface to the harsh vacuum of space. This exposure would make Earth's surface increasingly inhospitable to life as we know it, stripping away the protective ozone layer and leaving us vulnerable to harmful solar radiation. And then there's the moon. Our natural satellite plays a crucial role on Earth, influencing ocean tides and stabilizing Earth's axial tilt. Without gravity, the moon's orbit would be significantly affected. It might even drift out of Earth's gravitational reach entirely, becoming a rogue celestial body. If that happened, our understanding of planetary alignments and even timekeeping would be thrown into disarray. Tidal patterns would cease to exist, and Earth's tilt might become erratic, causing extreme and unpredictable climate shifts. Now let's talk about another bizarre scenario. What if gravity suddenly flipped? Instead of pulling us towards the Earth's center, it repelled us, pushing us away from the planet's surface. If this were to happen, everyone would be pushed away from the Earth's surface at the speed of 248 miles per hour. That's 400 kilometers per hour. At this speed, you could circle the globe in just under an hour and a half. People would be blasted through the atmosphere, breaking through the ozone layer and into the vacuum of space. Buildings, trees, and other objects would also be affected, launching into the sky. Planes would soar to incredible heights, while rockets would plummet back to Earth. The familiar landscape of our planet would be dramatically altered. Mountains would be flattened as their gravitational pull disappeared. Rivers would flow upwards, seeking higher ground. Oceans would form vast craters, sucked inwards by the Earth's core. Cities would be turned upside down, streets leading to the sky instead of the horizon. This reversal of the natural order would lead to complete chaos. It would be as if someone had hit the rewind button on the universe. Like a cosmic joke, we'd be stuck living through it. To sum it all up, gravity plays a pivotal role in shaping our planet and sustaining life as we know it. Without gravity, Earth would cease to be a planet as we understand it. Oceans would evaporate, the atmosphere would dissipate, and the Earth's shape would distort. Even time itself would be affected as the moon's orbit shifted dramatically. And then there's the small matter of what would happen to us. We humans, along with every other living thing on the planet, would be flung into the chaotic mix. We would find ourselves battling not just for survival, but for a place to stand. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? But here's the silver lining. This hypothetical situation is highly unlikely to occur. Gravity, as far as we understand, is a constant force. It doesn't fluctuate, bend, or break. It's the bedrock of our existence. So while it's fun to speculate what would happen if gravity stopped working, we can rest easy knowing that it won't be happening anytime soon. Unless, of course, you live near an ocean. In that case, you should probably start looking for higher ground. Just kidding. Unless you live near an ocean and you're really afraid of water, in which case, good luck with that. Check out what would happen if the sun exploded, or watch what would happen to your body in space.